Welcome to this week's edition of the Cheap Pop Podcast with K Double and Alpha. Boys, take it away. Hey, what's up, y'all? What's up? As I open every show, I tell you, it's a brand new day. Not just because Big E is still WWE champ, salute my brother, but because I, Double K, am here as usual with my brother from the other mother, Alpha. What's up, brother?
It's me, your fucking co-host, coming at you from the nastiest fucking pit in the West. This time, instead of talking some sweaty men, we're going to be talking some movies and some comics. As per usual, we usually start this shit out with the new Disney Plus show, and that's currently Hawkeye.
Yes, sir. Well, soon to be Book of Boba Fett. We'll get to that when it's necessary. All right,
soon.
We covered episodes 1 and 2 of Hawkeye the last time, and those episodes were pretty damn good. Episode 3 was just about to drop when we recorded, because I believe we recorded that episode on a Tuesday.
We did.
So episode 3 was coming up. And that's where we start our journey with episode 3 of Hawkeye. And Hawkeye himself kind of coming into his own in regards to developing Kate Bishop. You know, of course, he's getting deeper and deeper into realizing like who's behind it all, and they're dropping hints, and we'll get to that towards the end of this segment. But when I tell you that Kate Bishop is one of the best characters I've seen in a while.
Absolutely.
The way she's written, the way she's developed. I love the conversation with Mom. So you're telling me there's an Avenger in my office? Like, yep. Sorry, Mom.
Like, there's a fucking Avenger in my office.
You know.
Like, right.
But yeah, I love the role that the LARP policemen and firemen are playing in the whole story of Hawkeye. I really do.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Yeah, no, I fucking love Kate Bishop. Like I said it before, but even to this point, it stands for me. Like I can't say enough how much I love the portrayal of Kate Bishop so far. You know, coming into this whole bringing in the new Avengers kind of crop of characters into the MCU, like officially. There's so many ways you can fuck this up. And for the most part, in my honest opinion, they've done a lot to fix the bad things with these characters. And I hope they're going to continue the streak that they've been going on, because they've done it well with Kate Bishop here. Even the unlikable aspects of Kate Bishop in the comics are now kind of much more humane, a lot more relatable now that they're in the version that they're in the MCU.
Yeah.
So much akin to someone like Scream in the most recent Let There Be Carnage. You know, I really like this portrayal of Kate Bishop. I think a little bit more than even I like the comic book version.
Nice. Let There Be Carnage. That was another great movie.
Fucking right.
I want to say, but yeah, man, like I take a look at episode 3 and I say that was some great character development. But then you move on to this episode 4, where they now discovered where the watch is at. And they still haven't quite announced who this watch belongs to or belonged to. But Clint has the Ronin suit back. They're going after the watch. And Kate gets attacked by Echo, informs Clint of this, and he goes, I know, I'm being attacked by her too. At this point, I'm going, what the hell?
Now, hold up.
Wait a minute. What? So then they flash the fight outside, and Clint's fighting this hooded individual, or not hooded, but masked individual, who keeps firing these red things into him. And they look kind of familiar. And so the fight continues until finally the mask gets ripped off. And in one of what was many scenes that brought me out of my seat, I'm like, ooh, 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 I know her. I know her. And of course, for those of you who don't know, who I don't know by now, this was last week. So this is literally last
Yeah.
week's news. Y'all
Yeah.
should know this. It was Yelena Belova, played beautifully by Florence Pugh, a Black Widow assassin, as Hawkeye, as they barely survived the encounter with both Echo and Yelena. And Hawkeye turns to Kate and goes, "This is over. Someone's hired a Black Widow assassin. This is done. Like you're done in this. you can't fight this. Like trust me, you're not ready for what she has to offer. Like no, like let it go." But yeah, like that was our big reveal, and we'll get to the other big reveal here a little bit later. But that was our big reveal at the end of section 4. Now we're gonna delve off course before we dive into episode 5. This
wait,
now,
real quick.
Yeah.
Oh, is it still about Elena Belova?
Yeah. This
okay,
now puts the post-credit scene from Black Widow in context. All right. Because now we know, because remember, Val shows up and hands her the whatchamacallit. Now, even more so. Now this is what's great about it. Is that unfortunately, and this does touch a little bit on episode 5, but not really. Episode 5 does a really good job of explaining why Elena is the way she is.
Actually,
because remember, Black Widow takes place long before Endgame and all of that.
It actually takes place right before Infinity War.
Right.
So it's actually really interesting because the time gap between the events of Black Widow and its end credits scene are quite literally almost a decade.
Yeah, pretty much. And the beginning of episode 5 explains where Yelena ties into all of that. Okay. And so but we now know effectively that Hawkeye happens, I guess according to the directors, they said it was 2 years after the events of Endgame.
Yeah.
And that's obviously been established by the fact that Natasha's dead.
Yeah.
But where I say it helps along with the Black Widow end scene is now it puts that into perspective, because according to the directors as well, Yelena pretty much left almost immediately from that sequence with Val and went after Clint.
Yeah, I was gonna say where this puts it on the timeline now is quite literally directly between not like before the events of Hawkeye, but between the events of episode 2 and 3.
Yeah,
which is fucking awesome.
Hell yeah. And so it's a beautiful sequence, and it's nice to see Florence Pugh because she is just gorgeous.
I was gonna say that. God, man, I've for lack of a better term, I fucking love Elena Belova. I loved the comic book version, who was a complete icy stone cold bitch. She was fucking insane. But now we have this version of her in the MCU who's like this extremely deadly but bratty, smaller version of Black Widow. It's fucking great. And I love it. And her fucking little accent makes everything hilarious. I fucking love her and everything about her character. Like just everything. Yeah. It's fucking great.
Okay, I'm not going to lie to you. Side note real quick. I told you this earlier. I've been rewatching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Mm-hmm.
I now know I want to see a triple threat match or a fatal 4-way between May, Bobby, Yelena Belova, and Natasha Romanoff. Like that would be the most insane battle, for female battle that you could ever see.
That'd be so awesome.
Oh man, it would be beautiful.
All the spot fest.
Oh man, would it be?
Oh, man,
but
awesome.
but Yelena, and she feels I'll put it to you like this. Natasha trained herself out of the accent. Yelena did. And for some odd reason with Yelena's character, I love that.
Yeah.
Like her Russian accent makes the character.
Yeah.
You know,
I feel like it brings its roots back, you know, like especially when considering that Black Widow, as it started in its very first inception of the character, was a villain. Yeah. She was a Russian spy and a villain that converted to become an Avenger.
Yeah. And they sort of kept that background with this one. They sort of kept that background.
Sort of. It's it's a little bit different, but yeah.
But all right, so let's move that forward, and I'll explain my comment from earlier about the whole blip thing comes back into play in episode 5. At the beginning of episode 5, they show Yelena and one of the other Black Widows going to wake up one of the widows, but come to find out she was never put under. She joined willingly, this particular one, right? So they're sitting there having this conversation. Yelena's told them about everything that happened and what Natasha did, blah, 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 blah. Yelena goes into the bathroom, right? Is washing her hands. All of a sudden, the entire room around her disappears, and then the entire new room reappears. And she steps out the room out the bathroom like, what the fuck? And there's some random dude standing in the house like, why are you in my house? Well, now we just like we saw in was it Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or was it WandaVision? WandaVision, where we saw what happened with what's her name mother, how she was sitting there with her mom, and all of a sudden she blipped out, and all of a sudden she was back in the hospital, and her mom was gone, and she had just been brought back. It was the same thing with Yelena. She was just washing her hands, and next thing she knew, it was 5 years later.
Yeah.
Right. And so this is why she doesn't know really the true story of what happened with Natasha. Now, another thing about it is now, once again, jumping back to that end scene in Black Widow, that means that scene happened after Yelena realizes that she was gone for 5 years in the blip.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So I didn't realize that she was a victim of the blip until I was watching this episode.
I was going to say, and that gives such badass context to everything she's doing, because now, once again, there's this whole sense of irony where we know everything that she doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. You know, she doesn't know that her sister died a hero.
Exactly.
She's literally thinks that Clint Barton is the reason why her sister's dead.
Murdered her in cold blood. That's as far as she knows, because she literally didn't exist. She wasn't dead. She was fucking gone from existence in and of itself.
Yep. And so that's kind of explained at the beginning part of episode 5. And then you have this whole sequence where Yelena comes and visits Kate Bishop.
Yeah.
And this whole conversation that they have. And I agree with a lot of these articles that I've read since that episode aired, that I would love to see like a show with Kate Bishop and Yelena Belova, like just those two interacting.
Yeah,
the chemistry is there as they talk to each other. And my favorite line from it all is Yelena looks Kate. She's talking to Kate, right? And she's like, "You want some macaroni and cheese? I made some macaroni and cheese. You know, you were taking so long to come back. I made some mac and cheese. You want some?" And she's like, okay. And then she sits down with her and she's like, yeah, I just want you to tell me where he's at. Exactly. And she looks at him, and Kate Bishop looks at her and she's like, oh, you think I no, I know if I wanted to kill you, you know, like I could have, like right when you walked in the door, like right then, I could have bang bang. And I was just like, damn. Once again, the accent, dude. The accent is so beautiful.
God, no, the simplicity of it. It's fucking great.
It is, dude. And she's sitting there eating a pot of mac and cheese. And then like
nothing.
Right. And so like she finishes eating and Yelena's like, you done? You done? So I can put hot sauce on it? Oh, I love these hot sauce. And she's just like, it's just little things like that. But yeah, so I don't believe that she ends up telling her where Clint is, because she doesn't know. Clint, like at this point, has ghosted her because of after the events of episode 4. Yeah. So she has no clue where Clint is at.
Everyone knows what happens when he puts the Ronin costume back on.
Right. Well, here's the thing about it is he does put his Ronin costume back on, and he goes after Echo.
Yeah.
To try to convince her not to, to drop this whole thing. When in reality, he actually convinces her that her number 2 is the true villain, and he's the one who got her father killed because he said he had orders from your father's boss to off him. So yeah. And then and then from there we get the scene where Kate saves Clint and they go back to the thing, and then we get the big reveal, the one that we'll close the segment talking about. Kate's sitting there and starts getting text messages from somebody that says, I looked into who hired the Black Widow assassin. It was Elaine Bishop. And then proceeds to send her a picture of Elaine and somebody. And she turns to Hawkeye and says, do you know who that is? And Hawkeye looks her dead in the eye and goes, yeah, that's the big guy I've been warning you about this whole time. And she drops the phone, and it's a picture of Elaine Bishop standing there with the man, the one and only Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin. He's back, y'all.
Fucking God, it's so fucking good.
And here's the best thing about it. It wasn't this big drawn out intro and he had a monologue. It was a simple last like 2 minutes or last 30 seconds of the show.
I was gonna say not even 2 minutes, like 30 seconds.
Last 30 seconds of the show. And it just shows him in a picture. Now I'm hoping that at some point he plays some factor into the 6th episode in the finale, now that they've revealed him. But who knows? Who knows? We may have to wait before we actually see Kingpin back again. Man. But he's now been canonized. Your thoughts, sir?
How do I say? I fucking cried. I screamed like a small child, man. It was great. Nothing could have prepared me for that, because it is one of those things that as a comic books fan, it's like, I know that Kingpin was always in leagues with the chick who put out the hit, Echo. Always in contact with them in comics. It's kind of actually a very, very huge like cornerstone of his character in the very beginning,
Yeah.
And not only that, but of course he's known for his low level adversaries, as such, one of them being Ronin, when he goes on his huge dark crime spree, right? And that is one of those things that I completely fucking ruled out. Like 100%. I was just like, not happening.
Benny D, baby.
God damn it.
Oh, I can't wait to see what his role is and all. But here's the thing about it. It's just like, it's kind of odd that you have all this going on in New York and yet Spider-Man knows nothing about it. It was kind of like my whole theory when it came to the Netflix shows. How do you have all this shit with superpower people happening in the Bronx and all of this?
Hell, yeah, no, like they act as if Harlem, Bronx, Hell's Kitchen, and fucking like all those places aren't side by side,
Yeah. Like, well, I'm saying, like, they brought them all together for the Defenders. And then that's another thing. Whole team of superpower people comes together and Tony Stark doesn't know anything about it. Exactly. S.H.I.E.L.D. doesn't know shit about it. Like that was the one thing that blew my mind about the Marvel Netflix shows. I was like, wait a minute, S.H.I.E.L.D. never came a factor. S.H.I.E.L.D. was supposed to be all about, you know what I'm saying, whatchamacallit, finding power people. And S.H.I.E.L.D. doesn't turn up anywhere for Luke Cage, Jessica Jones.
Well,
fucking
at some point in the comics, all of those people do become Avengers, for what it's worth.
Yeah.
But it is very important that it does take a minute to metamorphosize in the comics as well. Not to be that constant dude drawn back to that shit. There was a huge length of time before Iron Fist, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, and Matt Murdock there's a point where they all become Avengers, each and every one of them individually. Luke Cage actually leads the Avengers at one point.
At one point, yeah.
He becomes the leader of the Avengers.
So I don't know. Maybe their radar is off when it comes. I'm
That's
like,
true.
Spider-Man, you live in the Bronx, bro. Like, you ain't never ran into Jessica Jones. Like, y'all live in the same damn city. Damn near.
Is he
And y'all
Bronx?
ain't... No,
Yeah,
no,
he's the
no.
Bronx,
Steve
yeah.
Rogers was Bronx.
I was
He's
gonna say
Queens.
I was gonna say
He's
there we go. I
Queens.
was gonna say Steve Rogers is Bronx.
Yeah. I remember that scene in
Peter Parker is from Queens, Civil War.
Yeah, I was gonna say that scene in Civil War. Yeah. So all right. Well, all right, we'll wrap it up there, man, and leave these people hanging. What do we say we got coming up after the break?
We're gonna talk about some CW. For the first time in a while, we're gonna talk about some CW.
Oh, yeah. And one of the best shows left on the CW. And a 5-piece Armageddon event that involved 5 special guest appearances that really didn't amount to anything. But we'll get into that after the break.
Yeah.
You're listening to the Cheap Pop Podcast right here on 4Aces Presents Radio Network. Me and Alpha bringing it to you like we always do. We'll talk to y'all after the break. Peace.
Peace.
Howdy, folks. This is Double KK Double here. I'm here to tell you all about the 4Aces Presents Radio Network. On this network, we have a plethora of shows going on, sometimes once a month, sometimes every other week, sometimes once a week. It's all kinds of schedules going on around here. But what we're going to start with is the Now versus Then network. Now versus Then is comprised of a man by the name and co-founder of this particular network by the name of the Saint and his collective of hosts that help him bring to you the hottest topics, bring to you some of the greatest discussions, and bring to you some of the greatest music, independent music on the West Coast, hell, possibly even on the East Coast. So check out the Saint on Now versus Then. Now versus Then West, and Now versus Then Deuce. These shows air on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. or Monday nights right here on the 4Aces Presents Radio Network on Spreaker.com and or Live 365 starting here in the next couple of weeks. All right, so the other part of the 4Aces Presents Radio Network I wanted to tell you about was a show by the name of the Mr. Deacon Experience. Starring Mr. Deacon himself. Deacon takes you on a ride talking about his Browns, talking about sports, talking about some of the hottest topics within the communities that surround us on a weekly basis, on a regular basis, I should say. So tune in to him on Saturday nights at 8. Now, the next part of the network is a few shows, some of which you may recognize, some of which are right here on YouTube, and that is the Double K Double Network. That would be 4 shows starring me and a bunch of my other hosts, doing everything from sports to music. Let's start out with Double K's Classroom, which is my bi-weekly show where I talk sports and some of the hottest topics in sports. Like this week, I touched on the A-Rod situation, John Gruden situation. So be sure to tune into that on Friday night at 8. But every Friday night we have a show, but we will be alternating between Spreaker and Live 365. Double K's K-Double, or Double K's Classroom will air on Spreaker every Friday night at 8. Or every other Friday night at 8. In the weeks in between Double K's Classroom, we will have KD5P. K-Double's 5th period music class, the show that will bring to you music from multiple generations, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s on Live 365 every other Friday at 8 p.m. So be sure to tune into those shows. The next show that we have is the Cheap Pop Podcast. The Cheap Pop Podcast airs right here on YouTube as well as on Spreaker.com. It's a weekly show that alternates between talking pro wrestling and everything involved with that, from WWE to AEW, etc., to talking movies, entertainment, comic books, television shows, animated television shows, etc. You think about it, we probably talk about it. So that's on Sundays at 5 p.m. And then every other Sunday, the final show on this network stars me, The Duel, and Heather O'Malley, which, by the way, Cheap Pop Podcast also stars Alpha, a young man out of Sacramento. All right. And then, yes, the West Coast Bias with me, The Duel, and O'Malley talking sports every other week right here on the 486 Presents Radio Network. We go on live at 6 p.m. And yeah, that's so you guys be sure to tune in to the 486 Presents Radio Network. And be sure to keep watching the YouTube show that you're probably watching right now if you're seeing this video. So hi. Get back to it with either Double K's Classroom or the Cheap Pop Podcast. I hope you guys are enjoying. Peace. And we are back. As promised to you, the sultry sounds of this delicious voice is back with you again. And my brother, whose voice is delicious as mine, is about to bring it to you. We're going to keep, as he would say, keep this Marvel train rolling.
Keep that Marvel train rolling. There we go.
Quick side note. Read an article today. Scarlett Johansson is officially back with Marvel. She will be producing a Disney Marvel project fairly in the near future.
Yeah. Good.
And also, Kick-Ass's director says that there most likely will be a reboot coming fairly soon.
Yeah, there's
Kick-Ass.
There's something going on with him on Netflix right now. There's a show of some kind going on with him. I'm gonna check it out soon. But I'm so down with it. I fucking love Kick-Ass so fucking much, dude.
Hell yeah.
Can't not love Kick-Ass. But
sorry.
Let's go with that Marvel train.
Oh yeah.
we a few weeks ago or months ago by now, we never got to really finish off with What If. Mm-hmm. So now at this point, we're gonna put the fucking cap on What If and talk about the final few episodes.
Yep. The emergence of the Guardians of the Multiverse.
Oh my fucking God.
Oh.
So okay. Fucking God.
So you watched all the
fan service in my veins. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So you watched all the What Ifs. Did you manage to watch the behind the scenes one? No, I forget the actor's name, the guy who voiced the Watcher. But that man, I talk about sultry voices. That man has a sultry goddamn voice.
God, man, there's a few people that you just want to announce your life. He's one of them.
Yep, him, Morgan Freeman, Samuel L. Jackson.
Keith David.
Top three.
Keith David.
Yep. I could go James Earl too. James Earl Jones too. You mean James Earl Jones?
I'll take it. I'll take that answer.
But yeah, so bro, I tell you, the way they did that show, about one of my favorite moments in that show is when Ultron, Ultimate Ultron or Infinity Ultron spins around and looks directly at the Watcher, and basically the Watcher was like, "Oh shit!" like that's not supposed to happen.
You're supposed to see me,
but and then you make you tell this whole new story with the second half, with this last two episodes of the Guardians of the Multiverse.
God,
and who is it? It's Captain Britain, Peggy Carter. It's Star-Lord T'Challa. It's
you got it.
Was it Romanov? But Barton's dead instead of Romanov, right?
Yeah, but Barton's dead now. It's a world where Barton died.
Yeah, and then I'm trying to think of who else was. Party Thor.
There you
possibly
go.
The funniest
Thor.
Character to come out of whatchamacallit.
Shit.
And then there's another pair that's there. Oh wait a minute, I didn't name everybody, did I?
I think you got everyone. Or am I tripping?
Did I get everyone? But there's another pair that's there that if you just watched What If and walk through it, you'd probably go, what?
Yep.
Who the hell are these two? And that's Gamora and Tony Stark. And that's because there was supposed to be an episode that included them, that told their story. But that episode was yanked and pulled to season 2, but they were left in the finale.
Yeah.
So
which is interesting.
Very interesting. But
again, let me spin your head with one I've told a million times before. Captain Britain is a brother. He's the brother to another superhero. Do you know who that superhero is?
Another superhero.
They're a member of the X-Men.
Not Magneto, no. Who? I'm drawing a blank here.
Psylocke.
Really?
I'm not joking.
In the comic book verse, he's the brother of the Psylocke, huh?
Yeah, it's fucking weird, isn't it?
Yeah, that's completely weird. Oh, remind me to tell you sometime about the fact that I just got done reading. I read Infinity Gauntlet.
Nice.
The full 6. Oh, well, actually, I read Thanos Quest, followed by Infinity Gauntlet, followed by Infinity War, and I've just started Infinity Crusade.
That's what I like to hear. Infinity Gauntlet's one of my favorite comics, if not my favorite line of comics of all time. You can't really see it in the shot from here, but I've got the cover of Infinity Gauntlet right here.
Nice.
Fucking right here on the wall. Massive.
With Thanos and
with the glove and the whole shit.
But remind me, we'll talk about that sometime. But yeah,
absolutely.
So the story that was told in those last 2 episodes of him putting together the Guardians of the Multiverse to face off against evil Infinity Ultron, which is just like
Ultron.
Yeah, Ultron. Might as well be playing Killer Instinct. Ultra combo. No.
Echo for fucking years.
But they built up I'm going to keep calling him Infinity Ultron. They built up Infinity Ultron to be what I'll say.
Fucking God.
Yeah. An Avengers level threat.
Level threat.
Like he was somebody that needed the formation of a crew. Like wasn't one person, not even the Watcher, as powerful as he is. And that was why I brought up the Infinity Gauntlet and the Infinity whatchamacallit, because he appears several times in both of those series. The Watcher does.
Very true.
And he keeps reiterating, I can only watch, I cannot interfere. And so it was different. It was nice to watch the difference in the character between what we saw in the comics versus what he was in the What Ifs animated series, which there has been, by the way, guys, they're inking and coloring season 2 like as we speak. Like they've already said season 2 is coming.
Yeah, man. So yeah, I love the position of the Watcher, if I'm being honest. I love the idea of him being, like, for lack of a better term, the perspective that which we watch the show from. Because this is the Watcher's job, to sit here and watch every multiverse and just watch it.
Yeah.
And the idea that we're seeing all of them through his eyes, and then also seeing him also have a sense of personality and sentience in and of itself is really fucking awesome.
I did forget somebody. Evil Doctor Strange.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say Strange. Dr. Strange.
It's Dr. Strange, who collapsed an entire universe to try to save one woman who died anyway. That was the most like ironic story out of all of them. It was just like, now you're trapped in a crystal, your broad's dead, you alive, all that magic just trapped. Yeah.
You're fucked up, man.
Like that was the most foul story they told. Every other story had a somewhat happy ending.
It is,
except for that one. His was just tragic.
Yeah, it is really cool though, because you never really consider, that when you're watching Doctor Strange. Because now that we have that episode, you can really, I don't know about you, now that I watch Doctor Strange over again, I can see all the different points where she's the crutch that which he's able to survive on throughout that movie.
Right. And I would say a key moment
that's ripped out from under him now in that episode. It shows that's the pivotal moment,
Yep, that created him, the Doctor Strange that we knew versus what he could have been.
Exactly.
Women can do that to you, man. That's what love can do. I know Tina Turner be talking about what's love got to do with it, but shit, love can make you do some crazy motherfucking things.
That's funny, man.
Oh
man.
And it made him destroy an entire universe.
What's the chick who played her?
Oh God, I can't remember her name. I can't remember that actress's name.
God damn it. That's gonna kill me.
Damn it.
Oh well, that's fucking that's hilarious though.
Yep. Oh, quick side note again, jumping around.
Shoot.
I was watching the old school Saved by the Bell because they have the entire series on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
In the season in which they go to the beach and work at the beach club, in the final episode of that story arc, Denise Richards makes an appearance as Slater's secret admirer. And I called it. I saw her and I was like, that's Denise Richards. I couldn't really get a make on her. And so I went on to Google and yep, Denise Richards was in the final. I was like, cha-ching, baby. I catch him where I see him.
Right on the fucking head.
Anyway, all right, so let's get into this CW for a quick minute. Now, a lot of people have hated on CW recently because they've said, like, there aren't many good shows. They don't like a lot of the shows that they have going. And they really don't seem to like the direction the Flash is taking. I personally am differing of opinion. I enjoy the Flash and I enjoy watching every episode. I feel like every episode is like a little mini movie, and I think it pulls at my heartstrings and makes me want to laugh, makes me want to cry, everything like that. Okay, well written, I think, and very well done. Now, for somebody to say that it's gone over the top and it's gotten outrageous, it's based off a fucking comic book. like. This isn't a documentary, like a documentary that had a man running around and throwing lightning bolts at people. That would be kind of over the top, but fucking, it's a comic book. Like, just fucking roll with it. Anyway,
can't really get too much more over the top than a comic book, you know. Like,
and they're supposed to be over the top. Comic books aren't supposed to be realistic, people.
Exactly,
like they're supposed to be over the top. But anyway.
It's a form of escape.
This 5-episode series introduced us to a character from DC lore by the name of Despero. But from what I've heard and what I've read, this particular version of Despero was nothing compared to what Despero was in the comic books.
Yeah.
The kind of anti-hero bad guy that he was in the comic books.
Yeah.
I think for me, it was disappointing. Like, don't get me wrong, I loved every episode. The Flash was amazing as usual, but it was disappointing from this point. It was hyped up to be this big old crossover event. You know what I'm saying? And what did they give us 2 years ago for a crossover event? Crisis on Infinite Earths. And boy, was that fucking thing huge.
Boy, was that a fucking crossover.
Yeah. And so I don't think last year they had a crossover, or if they did, it only happened between like 2 shows. I want to say like Supergirl and Batwoman had a crossover, but that was it.
Yeah.
But it really didn't feel like a crossover. Like they had, like there were special guest appearances, like the Atom show. Ray Palmer shows up. Brandon Ruth shows up in episode 1. You know, helps out the Flash a little bit.
Yeah.
With Despero, and then what is it? I forget who shows up in episode 2.
Fucking.
But then you move to episode 3, and it's Jefferson Pierce. It's Black Lightning, and then episode 4 is Mia Queen.
Yeah,
I want to say, or is that episode 5?
No, that's episode 4.
Episode 4, yeah, is when Mia Queen shows up, and then episode 5 just kind of is there. Like, pretty much they've dealt with the Despero threat by the end of episode 4.
Yeah. It just wasn't a disappointment. There were certainly parts of it that had me juiced, you know?
Yeah.
Like, for one, obviously, as you would expect, I wish there was a little bit more true to the comics portrayal of Despero, you know? You know, not just because I'm a comics nut, but just because I feel like that would have looked better, flat out. That I feel like that would have just looked better, you know. But I was juiced to see Black Lightning. I don't know about
Yeah,
you, but that had me juiced as fuck. I was into that actually. I was super into that. And you're right, you know, they hyped this up, and I went into this foolishly almost expecting something like an Infinite
yeah,
Crisis on it, almost like Crisis, but this definitely was not like this to me. It was a great story. It wasn't the best fucking crossover story. It
yeah,
just felt like a good Flash story. I'll put it
yeah.
that way. You know, this wasn't an amazing ultra explosive crossover story. This was just a good Flash story with some guests kind of
Popped
converging
in,
in one set of episodes.
right?
Is more what it feels like, you know.
Well, tell me,
That's not to say it was bad though.
right? Did it feel like a we're still here guest appearances? Like we're still here, like Ray Palmer's still around because he's not
I was gonna
on
say,
Legends anymore,
I was gonna say
so like Ray Palmer's
Ray
still
Palmer
around,
kind of felt like a I'm still alive type thing. I'll
Black
give you that.
Lightning, like that
Black
show's been
Lightning for me,
canceled, so
that
like it was
didn't
like,
felt phoned in, but I'm probably just a market.
well, no, I'm not talking about phoned in. I like I thought everybody gave great performances. I'm not talking about phoned in. What I'm talking
Not in
about
terms of
is his,
performances, but I mean like, but I
yeah,
mean
I
like,
felt
I
like
know what
his
you mean. Yeah,
placement there, like it was like, huh?
yeah,
Okay, I can see this, but then again, no, why? But I guess okay, they explained that when him and Jefferson are talking, to everybody chose one specific person that would be able to shut them down if they ever went crazy.
yeah,
But let's talk a little bit about that because that's the storyline that they brought Despero in on. Is Despero supposedly from this future where the Flash goes crazy and creates Armageddon?
yeah,
Okay, um, only to find out that Despero was right and wrong all at the same time. The Flash does create Armageddon, um, but only because he's trying to erase this reality from existence. Dun dun dun. You're like, what? Why? Because somehow Reverse Flash has gone back and created a flashpoint in which he becomes the Flash and Barry Allen becomes the Reverse Flash. He marries Iris West, and Batwoman, everybody else are all working with with Ebot Thorne.
Yo Barthon, yeah,
As he is now the Flash.
yeah,
So Barry, as the Reverse Flash, aligns himself with dun 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 Damian Dark,
yeah,
and of all people, and manages to figure out a plan on how to basically decimate the timeline where he's at. And he's willing to give his life because Barry convinces him that or tells him that in his timeline Nora lives and Damian Dark dies. And
yeah.
he, of course, like any father would, he'd much rather give his own life to allow his daughter to live. And so he helps Barry. Great storytelling. It was,
God,
very well done. I just didn't like that fifth episode. Like the whole let's save the Reverse Flash. Like, I don't know.
you know what? I didn't plan on saying it, but I kind of agree.
Yeah.
You know, it just it kind of felt like it ruined the whole moment a little bit. You know,
Yeah.
there is such thing as as a needless redemption arc. You know, that all being said, though, like it was a good fucking story. I like the beats. You know, I like the way that it went. But I kind of couldn't help myself from joking about the "it was me, Barry" joke. Like I don't know if you've seen anything with the "it was me, Barry" all along jokes, but
Yeah.
now the best version is this, which was "it was me, Barry. I was you all along."
I was you all along. No! Oh man. Yeah,
It's
like
fucking great, and I couldn't stop fucking with that.
I can't say that this was the most like this was kind of like they need to come back next year with something epic.
They do.
Like I think next year they need to run with a Justice League, with a major Justice League storyline, because you have all the pieces there. You have Superman there. Supergirl isn't there anymore because Supergirl's been canceled. But you got Superman there, you got Flash there, you got the Legends, or you can leave the Legends out. They've done that in years too. But you got the Legends there. You have Stargirl and the Justice League of America, or not Justice League, the Justice League of America. So you have enough pieces to put together something epic for next season. And you can always bring back Melissa Benoist as Supergirl if you need to. You can always bring back Jefferson Pierce as what's his name? You can always bring back what is that man's name? Why can I not remember his name? But you know who I'm talking about. Cress Williams. You can bring back Cress Williams as Black Lightning. You know, you can bring back what's her name is Mia Queen. You did it for this crossover. You can do it for next year. You know what I'm saying? All the pieces are there for them to put together a Justice League storyline. You know, maybe even introduce us
a JSA here.
Yeah, and maybe even introduce us to a CW Batman. Who knows?
God,
you know, because it does suck that this is Batwoman's last season too.
Well, I'm just saying the chances of it are unbearably low.
Yeah,
but Robert Pattinson said Batman would fit in quite fucking well. Like, I'm just saying.
Yeah. I would agree.
Like, even if there's just a picture on the floor in the last 30 seconds, per se.
But all right, man. We'll close it out there. And I'll say thank you for listening to this week's edition of the Cheap Pop Podcast. And as always, I let Alpha take it home. Take us home, brother.
Oh, you know how it is. My people, please be safe. Thank you for joining us to talk about some comics and shit. We're going to see you on the flip side. We're going to be talking, well, at this point, we're going to be talking Spider-Man No Way Home. It's looking like probably one of our most hyped episodes so far. I'm unbearably juiced for it. So
and the finale of Hawkeye.
And the finale of Hawkeye too. Can't forget that.
All right. So that's that, y'all. Now y'all know what we talking about next week. Like he says, be safe.
Peace.